Hi everyone, Letty here. Today I'm going to share with you a craft with me video where we make some mini slimline cards using 12 by 12 paper. So I am using the Reaching Out collection by Jen Hadfield. This is one of their collections that they have at Joann's, part of the American Crafts section. And I was inspired by these 2x2 cut aparts. And I went ahead and sewed some embellishment clusters together with some punch outs, and then some die cutted tags, the actual 2x2 cut aparts, and just kind of had some fun kind of piecing together, whatever kind of inspired me to make these clusters, because I figured they'd be great for the fronts of the cards. And then I have some scraps left over. And then I went ahead and took out 9 sheets of double-sided 12 by 12 paper as well, because there were 36 little 2x2 squares. I made 36 clusters. I figured I would get 4 card bases from each 12 by 12, so I needed 9 sheets. And then I also did cut down some white paper, and the dimensions I used were 2.5 by 5.5. And then I have the self-seal envelopes from Dollar Tree as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut down the 12 by 12 paper into 4 sections of 6 by 6. So basically what we're doing is we're going to make a card base, a mini slimline card base from each 6 by 6 piece of paper. So you cut one 12 by 12 down into 4 pieces, and you can make 4 cards from the one 12 by 12 paper. So again, I had 9 sheets, so 36 total cards. First thing you're going to do is just fold them in half and use your bone folder to help kind of varnish or kind of enforce the fold line. And if you're using double-sided paper, the benefit is that you have 2 options as far as for the inside and for the outside. You can kind of pick and choose what you want. You'll get more variety for the actual card bases. One downside, though, is that you have to be very careful with the directions, especially if it's directional patterns. You want to make sure that you're folding it correctly, so that way either the inside is not upside down or vice versa. Now, there are several different versions of making these slim lines. You can use several different dimensions. These are sort of on the smaller side, but what I like about these is that they're very simple to construct. You don't have to worry too much about measurements. You basically just take your 12 by 12, cut it down into 4 sections, which is 4 6 by 6 papers, and then you just fold them in half. So I figured it's very quick and easy. And what I also like about this is that you can also use a 6 by 6 paper pad and do the exact same process and turn each sheet into a card base as well. Now, one-sided paper is actually going to work best for this, because you could just always put the white paper on the inside and you won't have to add a white piece of square or rectangle to the inside for your writing. But double-sided works, just as well. Okay. So next, I'm going to go ahead and match up the sewn embellishment clusters to each card base. So I did use I took out at the very beginning, I took out a couple of cardstocks to die cut some of my tags, and then I used some of the scraps also in the clusters. And so I try to make sure that I'm not using an overlap of the same patterns. And I'm just basically looking to see which card base pattern works the best with the cluster that I'm going to be assigning it to. And if you didn't sew and all you did was glue, that is perfectly fine as well. You could also just glue some little clusters of embellishments and cut aparts and punch outs together, just the way that I did instead of sewing it. And you could also just add them to the front of your card. So either way, it works. So then we're going to just glue down the sewn embellishment to the actual card base. So this, by pre-making my clusters, it actually saves a ton of time, because as I'm going through, I was sewing them almost like assembly line. I mean, I guess it was assembly line, picking, a piece of a tag, a punch out, a spare strip, a 2x2 cut apart. You can use the exact same method and just glue the same types of embellishments to the fronts of your cards. But if you do them ahead of time, it's going to make this part of the process go very, very quickly. And you can see here, I really don't even have to add a whole lot to the fronts of these little cards. They really already have a ton going on. You will see at the end of this, though, I do start to add some of my additional additional scraps to the fronts as well. What I did was I punched out some smaller hearts, and then I also had some little triangles that I had left over that I'm using for some of the corners. And that's a good way of using your scraps as well, especially if they're a little bit bigger scraps. You can always take a punch to them and kind of punch out some shapes and then use them as additional layers of embellishment on the fronts of your cards. You could also technically glue them to the insides of your cards. Again, you just have to be very careful with your patterns. Make sure you're not overlapping too much. Otherwise, the shapes of the punches are pretty much going to lose, the whole effect if it's kind of blending in too much with the background. And then again, you do want to make sure if you're using double-sided paper and it's not really light, you do want to put in a little piece of white paper or white cardstock on the inside of the card, just so it makes it ready to be, ready to use, basically. We are just about done gluing these embellishment clusters to the cards, the card bases. You see here I pull in an extra little scrap. So I have all 36 cards glued down. Now I'm just going to add some of these little scraps to the fronts of the cards. You see here I am using the Barely Art Wet Glue. I do really enjoy using this glue, so I went ahead and took that out. And I think it's easier as well to use wet glue for these little bitty pieces than to try to use my ATG tape runner. So, and then I will cut off here in a second. I just went ahead and just to show you an idea of what it was going to look like. I figured this video would be way too long if I decorated every single one of these. So I just did a few of them just to kind of give you an idea of how you can use some of these scraps. And then I will come back in a second once they're all done, as well as I will go ahead and glue the white pieces of paper to the insides of the cards off camera. So, and you can use any size of embellishment to decorate these. You can also use stickers. You can use enamel dots. You can use jemmies. You've got so many options. You can use washi tape. You've got so many options. So you can definitely use up your supplies when you are doing these. Tons of fun. And these are really quick and easy cards. And they use pretty minimal supplies as well, because I pretty much just took out some of these sheets of the paper, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've finished off the 36 cards off camera. And you'll see here that I did add my embellishments to all of them, as well as the white piece of paper on the inside. I had just a few scraps left over, and this was again from when I was die cutting the original tags and such. Now, the good thing about this collection is that the branding strips are also usable. You see here, they've got some really cute patterns and things. I will be saving these. And again, that's that Reaching Out collection by Jen Hadfield. So let me go ahead and do just a preview of what all my 36 cards look like after I've glued them together and finished off the cards. Just super fun, super quick and easy. This collection has so many just fun, bright colors. It's really fun for spring and for summer. So definitely check it out. Again, I found these this collection at Joann's. And the neat thing about Joann's is, well, one, you don't have to pay for shipping. You can just go to the store and pick it up. But also they run a ton of sales. I think these sheets go on average or on regular price to 79 cents. And they are double-sided kind of cardstock scrapbook paper, but they always have sales. So be on the lookout for those sales at Joann's, and you can get all of these papers and more, and use them for fun little quick projects just like this. And the envelopes that go with this, again, I got mine at Dollar Tree, but you can get them anywhere. It's the smaller, size envelope, and the ones I got were self-adhesive, which makes it perfect. So, and here are the last two. So those are my 36 mini slimline cards from the 12 by 12 paper using the Reaching Out collection by Jen Hadfield that I recently hauled from Joann's. Thanks for visiting, everyone. Hope you subscribe, like this video, and follow me on Instagram. Thanks, and happy crafting.